Jake Morrison stared out the window of the transport ship and felt his stomach twist into knots. The Interstellar Coalition station hung in space like a giant metal flower, its dozens of petals stretching out from a central hub. Each petal housed different species from across the galaxy. Somewhere in that massive structure, he would be teaching aliens about human physics. First time in space always gets people nervous, Lisa Parker said from the seat beside him. She was his teaching assistant and had volunteered to come along on this journey. "You doing okay, Professor?" "I'm fine," Jake lied, just thinking about the presentation. The truth was more complicated. 3 years ago, humanity had made first contact with alien life. The Galactic Coalition had welcomed Earth with open arms, though many species seemed to view humans as primitive newcomers. Now Jake had been chosen to represent human scientific knowledge at the Coalition's biggest research station. No pressure at all. The transport ship docked with a soft thud. Jake grabbed his bag and followed Lisa through the airlock. The station's interior was bright and clean, with smooth walls that seemed to glow with their own light. The gravity felt normal, which surprised him. He had expected something different. "Welcome to Coalition Station Harmony," a voice said. Jake turned and saw his first alien in person. The creature was tall and thin, with smooth gray skin and 4 arms. Its head was oval-shaped with large black eyes. "I am Coordinator Zen of the Zentari species. I will show you to your quarters." Jake tried not to stare as they walked through the corridors. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved past them. Some floated, some crawled, some walked on 2 legs like humans. A few stopped to look at Jake and Lisa with obvious curiosity. "The Exchange Scholar program is a great honor," Zen said. His voice had a musical quality that made English sound strange. "We have heard much about human determination. We look forward to your demonstrations." They reached a section marked with Earth's flag alongside dozens of other symbols. Zen opened a door and gestured inside. "Your quarters. The teaching hall is on level 7. Your first presentation is scheduled for tomorrow at 10th hour. Do you need assistance with anything?" "I think we're good," Jake said. "Thank you." Zen bowed slightly and left. Jake and Lisa entered their quarters and looked around. The space was larger than expected, with separate rooms for sleeping and a common area. The furniture looked normal enough, though everything seemed to be made of the same smooth material as the walls. "This is incredible," Lisa said, dropping her bag on a chair. "We're actually on an alien space station." Jake walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Earth was visible in the distance, a blue marble against the black. "Yeah, incredible." They spent the rest of the day unpacking and preparing for the next day's demonstration. The Coalition had provided them with a standard teaching kit, which arrived in a large container. Jake opened it and started pulling out equipment. "These weights are lighter than I expected," he said, holding up a metal sphere. The label said it was for demonstrating mass and force. "Good quality material." Lisa picked up a metal bar from the kit. "Everything here feels really well made. I guess when you have access to alien technology, you can make things pretty efficiently." That evening, they explored the station. The corridors were busy with aliens going about their business. Jake noticed that most of them were smaller than humans. The Zentari were tall but very thin. Others were short and round or long and snake-like. Very few matched human proportions. They found a cafeteria that served food for different species. A helpful Krell, an insect-like alien with multiple legs, showed them how to use the food dispensers. The human food tasted bland but edible. "Tomorrow's the big day," Lisa said as they ate. "You nervous?" "A little," Jake admitted. "I just want to show them that humans understand science, that we're not just primitive newcomers." "We'll do fine," Lisa said. "It's just basic physics." What could go wrong? The next morning, Jake woke up early. He reviewed his notes one more time and practiced his presentation. The demonstration was simple. He would explain Newton's laws of motion using the equipment from the teaching kit, show the aliens that humans understood force, mass, and acceleration. Lisa met him outside the teaching hall at the appointed time. The room was already filling up with aliens. Jake counted at least 15 different species, all taking seats and chattering in various languages. The universal translator devices made everything sound like a jumbled mess until the room quieted down. "Good morning," Jake said, standing at the front of the room. "My name is Jake Morrison, and this is Lisa Parker. We're from Earth, and today we're going to talk about the fundamental laws of motion." The aliens watched with interest. Jake started with the basics, explaining Newton's first law. An object at rest stays at rest unless acted upon by a force. He used a small ball from the kit to demonstrate, rolling it across the table. Now let's talk about force and mass, Jake continued. He walked to the equipment container and pulled out what the manual called a standard mass unit. It was a cylindrical weight about the size of a large can. The label showed measurement markings. When we apply force to an object, Jake said, the acceleration depends on the mass. He lifted the weight with one hand and placed it on a scale. The digital readout showed numbers he didn't quite understand, but there was also a conversion to kilograms. It read 150. Jake picked up the weight again, holding it casually while he wrote on the display board with his other hand. The more mass an object has, the more force we need to move it. He looked back at his audience and noticed something odd. Every alien in the room was staring at him with wide eyes or the equivalent. The chattering had stopped completely. An uncomfortable silence filled the hall. Lisa, sensing something was wrong, walked over to check the scale reading. She picked up the weight and adjusted its position on the scale. Is this thing working right? She asked as Zentari in the front row stood up suddenly. Stop this immediately, the alien said, all four arms waving. You must stop. Jake set down the weight, confused. What's wrong? That is heavy lifting equipment, the Zentari said. You need mechanical assistance. You will injure yourselves. Jake looked at the weight, then at Lisa, then back at the aliens. It's just a demonstration weight. It's not that heavy. Not that heavy. A small round alien squeaked from the back. That is 150 kilograms. Yeah, Jake said slowly. So? The room erupted into noise. Aliens were chattering, clicking, and making sounds of distress. Several of them stood up and moved toward the exits. Others pulled out communication devices and started speaking rapidly. Coordinator Zen rushed into the room. What is happening here? The humans, the Zentari professor said, pointing at Jake and Lisa. They are lifting heavy equipment with no assistance. They are either enhanced or there is a medical emergency. We must evacuate and call medical personnel. Jake stood frozen, the weight still in his hand. He looked at Lisa, who looked just as confused as he felt. Around them, aliens were treating a simple physics demonstration like a disaster. Something was very, very wrong, but Jake had no idea what. The medical bay of Coalition Station Harmony looked more like a zoo than a hospital. Aliens of various sizes and shapes crowded around the entrance, all trying to get a look at the two humans inside. Security personnel tried to keep order, but curiosity was winning. Jake sat on an examination table that seemed too small for him. Lisa was on another table nearby. Both of them had been rushed here immediately after the incident in the teaching hall. Coordinator Zen stood by the door, speaking rapidly with several other officials. I still don't understand what happened, Jake said to Lisa. We were just doing a basic demonstration. That weight was 150 kilograms, Lisa said. You were holding it with one hand like it was nothing. So? 150 kilograms isn't that much. I can lift more than that at the gym back home. A doctor approached them. He was a krell, the insect-like species with multiple thin limbs and compound eyes that reflected the light. Please remain calm, the doctor said through a translator device. We need to run some tests. This is for your safety. What kind of tests? Jake asked. Strength, bone density, muscle composition. We need to understand if you have been accidentally enhanced or if there is a medical condition causing abnormal strength. Abnormal? Lisa said. We're perfectly normal humans. The doctor's mandibles clicked together in what might have been concern. That is what we need to determine. For the next 2 hours, Jake and Lisa were put through a series of tests. They lifted weights of various sizes while machines measured their output. They squeezed devices that tested grip strength. They ran on machines that analyzed their movement. Doctors took samples and scanned their bodies with equipment that hummed and beeped. Other aliens were brought in for comparison. A Zentari soldier, supposedly one of the strongest of his species, stepped up to a weight machine. He grabbed the handles and pulled with obvious effort, his forearms straining. The machine registered 28 kilograms. Jake went next. He pulled the same handles easily. The machine's display climbed rapidly. 50 kilograms, 100 kilograms, 150 kilograms. Jake was barely trying. The machine's alarm went off as it hit its maximum capacity of 200 kilograms. Impossible, a doctor muttered. Run it again. They ran it again. Same result. They tried other tests. Lisa could grip harder than any alien in the room. Jake's bone density scan showed results that made the doctors gather around the display in shock. "We need the human medical officer," Coordinator Zen said. "Bring Dr. Henderson here immediately." Dr. Claire Henderson arrived 20 minutes later. She was a middle-aged woman with gray hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She had been stationed on the Coalition vessel Starlight for the past year as Earth's medical representative. "What's going on?" she asked, looking at Jake and Lisa. "Are you two hurt?" "No," Jake said. "But everyone seems to think we're freakishly strong or something." Claire looked at the test results on a nearby display. Her eyes widened slightly. "Oh, I see. You see what?" Zen asked. "Are these humans enhanced? Is this a medical emergency?" Claire turned to face the crowd of alien doctors and officials. "These humans are completely normal. There's nothing wrong with them at all. But the strength measurements," a Krell doctor said, "they are beyond anything we have recorded." "For your species, yes," Claire said. "But for humans? This is standard. Average, actually. These two aren't even particularly athletic by human standards." The room went silent. Jake could hear the hum of the station's systems in the background. Every alien was staring at Claire like she had said something crazy. "You're telling us," Zen said slowly, "that all humans are this strong?" "Yes, well, it varies by individual, of course. Some humans are stronger, some weaker. But generally speaking, yes. This is normal for us." "How is that possible?" a small alien asked from the back of the crowd. Claire pulled up a display and started showing images of Earth. "Let me explain human evolution. Earth is what we call a high-gravity world. Our planet has about 1 g of gravity. What's the average for Coalition homeworlds?" "Between 0.3 and 0.7 g, a doctor answered. "Right. So humans evolved in gravity that's roughly twice what most of you experience. Our bones became denser to handle the stress. Our muscles became stronger. Our entire body structure adapted to life in higher gravity." Claire continued, showing images of human history. "Humans are also persistence hunters. Our ancestors would chase prey animals for hours, sometimes days, until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. We evolved to be incredibly durable. We can go long distances, handle extreme temperatures, and carry heavy loads." She pulled up more data. "Earth is also geologically active. We have earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, hurricanes. The weather varies wildly. We have predators that can kill us easily. Our ancestors survived by being tough, adaptable, and yes, strong." A Zentari official stepped forward. "Are you saying Earth is a death world?" Claire paused. "I'm not familiar with that term in this context. A planet with conditions so hostile that most species would consider it uninhabitable. Extreme gravity, dangerous weather, aggressive fauna. We have encountered 3 such worlds in our exploration. None of them had developed intelligent life. Until now." The room erupted into conversation again. Aliens were talking rapidly, pulling up data on their devices and looking at Jake and Lisa with new expressions. Some looked afraid. Others looked fascinated. "This explains so much," Zen said quietly. "During first contact, Ambassador Vrel was injured during a handshake ceremony. We thought it was human clumsiness. Probably just didn't know his own strength," Claire said. "When you're used to high gravity, you don't always realize how much force you're using in lower gravity environments." A doctor was reviewing old footage on a screen. "Look at this. From the Earth Embassy opening. Human children playing with equipment marked for adult use only. We thought the parents were being irresponsible." "Those are just normal toys for human kids," Claire said. "A 5-year-old human child can probably lift more than an average adult of most species here." Jake finally found his voice. "Wait. Are you telling me that everyone here is weaker than humans? Like significantly weaker?" "Yes," Claire said. "Based on these tests and what I know about Coalition species, the average human is 5 to 10 times stronger than the strongest individuals of most species here." Lisa put her head in her hands. "That physics demonstration. We were tossing around weights that they need machines to lift." "Exactly," Zen said. "You were treating heavy equipment like toys." "We didn't know," Jake said. "Everything felt normal to us. The station gravity feels like Earth normal. The equipment didn't seem heavy. The station is set to 1 g in this section to accommodate you," Zen explained. "We can adjust it. Most of the station operates at 0.5 g. We made this area comfortable for the human visitors." "So you're all walking around in double gravity right now?" Lisa asked. "Yes, it is difficult but manageable for short periods." We did not realize it was your normal environment. Claire looked at Jake and Lisa. Welcome to the galaxy, where humans are apparently superheroes. This is going to cause some complications. What kind of complications? Jake asked. As if in answer, alarms started blaring throughout the medical bay. Coordinator Zen's communication device lit up with urgent messages. He listened for a moment, his gray skin somehow paling. The council has called an emergency session, Zen said. The news of human strength has spread throughout the station. There are concerns, fears. Some species are demanding that humans be restricted or monitored. Restricted? Lisa said. We're not dangerous. We're teachers. You are beings who can casually lift what we consider impossible loads, who evolved on a world we would classify as extremely hostile. Can you understand why some might find that frightening? Jake looked at his hands. Normal human hands that could apparently crush materials aliens considered strong. Lisa stood beside him, a normal woman who was apparently as strong as a forklift by galactic standards. This is insane, Jake muttered. This is reality, Claire said, and it's about to get a lot more complicated. Every human in Coalition space is about to find out they're walking weapons by alien standards. Every agreement, every treaty, every interaction is about to be re-examined. All because of a simple physics demonstration. The alarms continued to blare. Outside the medical bay, Jake could see aliens running past, all heading somewhere in a hurry. The peaceful exchange program had turned into a galactic incident, all because he picked up a weight. The Coalition Council chamber was designed to accommodate hundreds of species. Seats of various shapes and sizes filled the circular room in rising tiers. At the center was a platform where speakers could address the assembly. Right now, that platform held Jake Morrison, Lisa Parker, and Dr. Claire Henderson. Jake had never felt so exposed in his life. Hundreds of alien eyes, sensors, and visual organs were focused on him. The chamber buzzed with conversation in dozens of languages, all being translated into a confusing mess of sound. Order! A voice boomed through the chamber. The speaker was a massive creature that looked like a floating jellyfish with dozens of tentacles. According to Jake's briefing, this was Elder Quill, one of the senior members of the council. We will now hear testimony regarding the human strength anomaly. It's not an anomaly, Claire said firmly. It's normal human biology. Normal for a Death World species, a Zentari counselor said. We have reviewed the data on Earth. The gravity alone would crush most of our people. And you say humans evolved there naturally? Yes, is that so hard to believe? It is unprecedented, Elder Quill said. We have explored thousands of worlds. We have encountered hundreds of intelligent species. None evolved on worlds as hostile as Earth. None possess physical capabilities anywhere close to human levels. A screen lit up behind them, showing comparative data, human strength measurements next to measurements from other species. The difference was stark. Even the weakest human tested was stronger than the strongest Zentari. Let us be clear about what we have discovered, Elder Quill continued. An average human can lift 5 to 10 times more than our strongest soldiers. Human bones are dense enough to withstand impacts that would shatter our skeletons. Human muscles are efficient enough to operate continuously for hours without rest. Human grip strength can crush materials we use for construction. You make us sound like monsters, Lisa said quietly. We are simply stating facts, another counselor said. This one was a small creature with fur and large ears. Facts that have significant implications for the Coalition. Such as? Claire asked. Security concerns for one, a Krell counselor said, its mandibles clicking. We have assigned humans to various positions throughout Coalition space, based on standard species assessments. We now learn that every human is capable of physical feats we consider extraordinary. We're not going to hurt anyone, Jake said. We're here to learn and share knowledge. Your intentions may be peaceful, the Zentari counselor said, but your capabilities are concerning. During first contact, we had several injuries from simple handshakes. We attributed this to cultural misunderstandings. Now we know it was because humans were unaware of their own strength relative to ours. Elder Quill gestured and another screen appeared. Let us examine the implications further. We have requested that other humans demonstrate their capabilities. Commander Ben Richards of the Earth vessel Endeavour has agreed to provide a demonstration. Bring him in. Doors at the side of the chamber opened. A man in an Earth military uniform walked in, accompanied by 2 others. Commander Richards was in his 40s with short dark hair and a confident stride. Behind him came a younger man in security uniform and a woman in engineering coveralls. "Commander Richards," Elder Quill said, "thank you for coming. Would you and your crew please demonstrate standard human physical capabilities?" Ben nodded. "Sure, what do you want us to do?" "Whatever you would consider basic exercise or physical training." Ben looked at his two crew members. "Kyle, Emma, standard morning routine?" The younger man, Kyle Martinez, dropped to the floor and started doing push-ups. He counted out loud as he went. 10, 20, 30. The alien counselors watched in silence. 50. Kyle kept going without apparent effort. "How much does he weigh?" a counselor asked. "About 80 kilograms, Claire answered. "And he is lifting that weight repeatedly, with just his arms?" "It's a basic exercise. Most humans can do this." Kyle finished at 100 push-ups and stood up, barely breathing hard. "Want me to do pull-ups too?" "Please," Elder Quill said. A bar was brought out, set at a height for Kyle to reach. He grabbed it and started pulling himself up. His chin went over the bar again and again. The aliens watched like they were seeing something impossible. Emma Watson, the engineer, stepped forward. "Can I try something?" she asked Ben. "Go ahead." Emma walked to a cargo container sitting near the wall. It was marked with symbols indicating it required mechanical assistance to move. She grabbed the handles on the side and lifted. The container rose off the ground easily. She carried it across the room and set it down gently. "How heavy was that?" a counselor asked. "According to the label, about 200 kilograms, Emma said. "It's not that bad if you use your legs properly." The chamber erupted into noise. Counselors were arguing, gesturing, and pulling up data on their personal displays. Jake could see fear in some faces, wonder in others. "Silence," Elder Quill commanded. "Commander Richards, one question. You are military personnel. Are you trained in combat?" "Yes, sir." "Standard Earth military training." "And what does that training involve?" Ben considered his answer carefully. "Physical conditioning, weapons training, tactical education, survival skills. We learn to operate in various environments and handle threats." "Threats?" The Zentari counselor leaned forward. "What kind of threats exist on Earth that require such training?" "Other humans, mostly," Ben said. "Earth has had conflicts throughout history. We've had to develop methods to defend ourselves." "From each other?" a counselor asked in disbelief. "You fight your own species?" "Yes, though we've been moving toward peace for the last century." "It's complicated," Claire spoke up. "You have to understand. Humans evolved as both predators and prey. We had to be strong to survive, but we also had to compete with each other. It made us tough, but also made us develop complex social structures and eventually civilization. A species that evolved to fight," the Krell counselor said. "This is deeply concerning. We also evolved to cooperate," Jake said, feeling defensive. "Human history isn't just war. It's art, science, music, literature. We build things together. We help each other. Yes, we can fight, but we prefer not to." Elder Quill brought up more data. "We have been reviewing records from the past 3 years since first contact.
Every interaction with humans takes on new meaning with this information."
Your diplomats were always careful, always gentle. We thought it was politeness. Now we understand it was restraint. Because we didn't want to accidentally hurt anyone," Ben said. "When we learned your species were more fragile than ours, we made sure to be careful. But you did not tell us the extent of the difference." "We didn't know the extent," Claire said. "We knew we were stronger, but we assumed it was maybe twice as strong. Not 5 to 10 times. We had no frame of reference because we'd only met a few species during first contact." A small counselor near the back spoke up. "I have reviewed the medical data. Human endurance is also far beyond our norms. A human can run continuously for hours. Some can run for days. This is in addition to their strength?" "Yes," Claire said. "Humans are endurance hunters. It's how our ancestors caught food. We would chase animals until they collapsed from exhaustion, then close in for the kill." "You hunted by exhausting your prey to death?" The counselor sounded horrified. "That is the most terrifying hunting method I have ever heard." "It's efficient," Emma said with a shrug. "Can't outrun us, can't outlast us. Eventually we catch you." The way she said it made several counselors shift uncomfortably in their seats. Jake shot her a look that said, "Maybe don't phrase it that way." Elder Quill was quiet for a long moment. "Let me ensure I understand completely. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world with extreme environmental conditions. You developed strength, endurance, and durability far beyond galactic norms. You are capable of both cooperation and conflict. with training methods that prepare you for physical combat. Does this summarize the situation? That's accurate, Ben said. Though I want to emphasize that humanity joined the coalition in good faith. We're not looking for conflict. We want to be part of the galactic community. Your intentions are noted, Elder Quill said. However, intentions can change. The Council must consider the security implications of having a species with such physical capabilities as members. Are you saying you want to kick us out? Lisa asked. I am saying we must carefully consider how to integrate humanity into the coalition. There are those who fear what your species could do if you chose violence. There are others who see opportunity in your capabilities. The debate will be intense. Jake stood up straighter. Then let me say something. Yes, humans are strong by your standards. Yes, we come from a tough world. But we're also the species that sent teachers to share knowledge, that sent doctors to help heal, that sent diplomats to build bridges. Judge us by our actions, not by what you fear we might do. The chamber went quiet. Elder Quill's tentacles swayed gently. Well spoken, Professor Morrison. The Council will take your words under advisement. This session is adjourned for deliberation. We will reconvene in 6 hours. As the counselors began to file out, Jake felt the weight of what had happened. A simple physics demonstration had revealed that humanity was physically superior to every species in the ace among the stars. The observation deck was quiet. Jake stood at the window watching ships come and go from the station. Behind him, the other humans gathered in small groups, talking in low voices. The 6-hour recess had stretched into 12, then 24. The council was still debating. They're scared of us, Lisa said, coming to stand beside him. I can see it in how they look at us now. Like we're dangerous animals. Can you blame them? Jake asked. We just found out we're the most physically powerful species in the galaxy. That's got to be terrifying from their perspective. Commander Ben Richards approached them. Professor Morrison, Miss Parker, how are you two holding up? Been better, Jake said. Any news from the council? Nothing official. But I've been hearing rumors. There's a faction that wants strict limits on where humans can go and what positions we can hold. Another faction thinks we should be banned from certain sectors entirely. That's insane, Lisa said. We haven't done anything wrong. We don't have to, Ben said grimly. The potential is enough. They look at us and see what we could do, not what we have done. Kyle Martinez joined them. I've been reviewing the security protocols. Did you know that most coalition species have almost no violent crime? Their police forces are basically just mediators. The idea of physical conflict is foreign to them. And then we show up, Emma Watson said, walking over with a data pad. A species that has war in its history. That has entire martial arts dedicated to fighting. That builds weapons and armor. From their perspective, we're violence incarnate. That's not fair, Jake said. Humans have also created incredible art, made scientific discoveries, built civilizations based on cooperation. We're more than just our capacity for violence. Try telling them that, Emma said. I've been reading the public forums. Some species are calling for Earth to be quarantined. They want to cut us off from the rest of the galaxy. The doors to the observation deck opened. Coordinator Zen walked in looking exhausted. His gray skin seemed paler than usual, and he moved slowly in the high gravity. The council is reconvening, Zen said. They have reached a decision. You are all requested to attend. The walk back to the council chamber felt longer than before. The corridors were empty. Most aliens were staying in their quarters, away from the humans. The few they passed gave them wide berths, pressing against walls to keep distance. The council chamber was full again. Every seat was occupied. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut. Jake took his place on the central platform with the other humans. Elder Quill floated at the head of the chamber. The council has deliberated extensively, Elder Quill began. We have reviewed all available data on human capabilities, history, and culture. We have consulted with experts in xenobiology, sociology, and security. The decision we have reached will affect the future of human coalition relations. Jake felt his heart pounding. This was it. The moment that would determine if humanity had a place in the galaxy, or would be cast out as too dangerous to integrate. However, Elder Quill continued, before we announce our decision, there is one who wishes to speak. Ambassador Vrel of the Zentari has requested the floor. A Zentari stepped onto the platform. Jake recognized him as the counselor who had been most vocal about restricting humans. Vrel was older than most Zentari Jake had seen, with darker gray skin and ornate markings on his arms. 3 years ago, Vrel began, I was present at the first contact ceremony between the Coalition and Earth. I was injured during what humans call a handshake. At the time, I believed it was an intentional assault. I called for Earth to be denied membership. I was outvoted. Jake remembered the incident. It had been all over Earth news. A diplomatic disaster narrowly avoided. For 3 years I have watched humans with suspicion, Vrel continued. I looked for signs of aggression, of violence, of the warrior nature I believed was in your species. I found none. Instead, I saw scientists eager to learn, doctors dedicated to healing, engineers who built with care, diplomats who spoke with patience. Vrel turned to face Jake directly. When news of your strength reached me, I thought my fears were confirmed. Here was proof that humans were dangerous. I argued strongly for restrictions. I demanded that humans be monitored, limited, controlled. I believed this was necessary for Coalition safety. Then why are you speaking now? Jake asked. Because I was wrong, Vrel said simply. Or rather, I was asking the wrong question. I asked what humans could do. I should have asked what humans would do. And the answer is clear from 3 years of peaceful interaction. Humans will choose cooperation over conflict when given the chance. A murmur went through the chamber. Vrel raised his forearms for silence. But I was not entirely wrong, he continued. Humans are powerful. This is fact. The question is whether that power makes them dangerous or valuable. I have come to believe it is the latter. The Coalition faces many challenges. There are worlds we cannot explore due to high gravity. There are rescue operations we cannot perform due to strength requirements. There are construction projects we cannot attempt due to physical limitations. Humans can do all these things. Vrel walked closer to Jake. More than that, humans understand their own power. You have spent your entire existence learning to control your strength, to moderate your capabilities, to live peacefully despite your potential for violence. These are lessons the Coalition needs, not to become warriors, but to understand that power and peace can coexist. Are you saying you support human integration? Elder Quill asked. I am saying I withdraw my proposal for restrictions, Vrel said. I will vote in favor of full Coalition membership for humanity, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. The chamber erupted. Councilors were shouting, arguing, gesturing wildly. Some seemed to agree with Vrel. Others looked horrified. The noise was deafening. Order, Elder Quill commanded. The chamber slowly quieted. Ambassador Vrel has spoken. Are there others who wish to comment before we vote? A small, furry councilor stood. I speak for the Tigran Collective. We have worked closely with human scientists for 2 years. We have found them to be patient teachers and eager students. We support full integration. Another councilor rose. The Krell hierarchy has concerns. Human strength is one issue. Human endurance is another. Human adaptability is a third. Together, these factors make humans uniquely suited to roles that could accumulate power within the Coalition. We do not oppose membership, but we insist on safeguards. What kind of safeguards? Ben asked. Transparent reporting of human population numbers in Coalition space. Limits on how many humans can serve in security forces. Restrictions on human access to military technology beyond their current level. Those restrictions would make humans second-class citizens, Claire said. You can't ask us to join the Coalition and then treat us as potential threats. Can we not? The Krell counselor replied. You are the only species capable of physically overpowering any other species in the Coalition. Some caution is warranted. Elder Quill listened to several more counselors speak. Some supported humans, some opposed. Some suggested compromises. Finally, he raised his tentacles for silence. The time has come to vote. The question before the council is simple. Shall humanity be granted full Coalition membership with no additional restrictions beyond standard membership requirements, or shall special conditions be applied? Councilors, cast your votes. The chamber filled with soft chimes as councilors entered their votes on personal terminals. Jake watched the display screen, seeing the count rise. Yes votes in green, no votes in red, abstentions in yellow. The counting took 5 minutes that felt like 5 hours. Jake held his breath. Beside him, Lisa gripped his arm. The other humans stood tense, waiting. The final count appeared on the screen. The vote is 187 in favor, 134 against, 23 abstentions, Elder Quill announced. By majority vote, humanity is granted full Coalition membership without additional restrictions. Welcome to the galactic community, people of Earth. Jake felt his knees go weak. Lisa hugged him. Commander Richards smiled broadly. Around the chamber, many aliens were applauding in their various ways. Tentacles waved, mandibles clicked, and various sounds of approval filled the air, but not everyone was happy. Jake could see the counselors who had voted against the measure. They looked worried, scared, or angry. This victory came with a cost. Humanity had won the right to join the galaxy, but they had also made enemies. "This is just the beginning," Ben said quietly. "The real work starts now. We have to prove we're worthy of their trust." "We will," Jake said. "We have to. The whole galaxy is watching." Outside the chamber windows, Earth hung in space like a blue promise. Humanity's place among the stars was secure, but the responsibility that came with it was immense. They were the strong ones now. They had to show the galaxy that strength could be gentle, that power could be kind, and that the warriors from the death world called Earth chose peace. The question was whether the galaxy would give them the chance to prove it. 2 weeks had passed since the vote. Jake Morrison tried to return to normal life on Coalition Station Harmony, but normal was different now. Everywhere he went, aliens stared. Some with curiosity, some with fear, and some with something that looked like awe. His physics demonstrations continued, but now they were the most attended lectures on the station. Aliens packed the hall to watch a human casually lift equipment and move objects. What had been ordinary became spectacular simply because Jake was human. "This is weird," Lisa said as they walked through the main corridor. A group of young Tigran students quickly moved aside to let them pass. "I feel like a celebrity and a threat at the same time." "At least they're not running away anymore," Jake said. "That's progress." They reached the teaching hall for the afternoon session. The room was already full. Jake noticed Coordinator Zen in the back row, along with several other officials. He was getting used to being watched. "Good afternoon, everyone," Jake began. "Today we're talking about momentum and inertia. These concepts are fundamental to understanding motion and force." He picked up a demonstration sphere, one of the smaller ones, and rolled it across the table. When an object is in motion, it wants to stay in motion unless acted upon by another force. The heavier the object, the more force we need to stop it. The lecture went smoothly. Jake made sure to explain everything clearly, using simple language that would translate well. He avoided picking up anything too heavy. The last thing he needed was another incident. Halfway through the lecture, alarms blared throughout the station. The lights shifted to an emergency red. Coordinator Zen jumped to his feet and pulled out his communication device. "What's happening?" Jake asked. "Structural failure in Section 7, Zen said, his voice tight with panic. "The artificial gravity system has malfunctioned. Part of the ceiling has collapsed. There are people trapped." "How long until rescue teams arrive?" Lisa asked. "At least 30 minutes. They need to bring heavy equipment from the maintenance bay." 30 minutes? Jake felt his stomach drop. People could die in 30 minutes. "There is no choice," Zen said. "The debris is too heavy. It requires mechanical assistance to move." Jake looked at Lisa. She looked back at him. They both knew what the other was thinking. "How far is Section 7? Jake asked. 2 corridors over. "But you cannot help. The debris masses are hundreds of kilograms. Even the lightest pieces require equipment to move." "Show me," Jake said. They ran through the corridors. Other humans who had been on the station heard the alarms and joined them. Commander Ben Richards appeared with Kyle Martinez and Emma Watson. By the time they reached Section 7, there were 8 humans in the group. The scene was chaos. The ceiling had partially collapsed, bringing down metal beams, panels, and equipment. Several aliens were trapped beneath the wreckage. Their cries for help echoed through the corridor. Station personnel stood around helplessly, trying to figure out what to do. Jake didn't wait for permission. He ran to the nearest beam and grabbed it. The metal was heavy, easily 300 kilograms, but he lifted one end while Emma grabbed the other. Together they moved it aside. A small Tigran crawled out from underneath, injured but alive. "Get everyone clear," Ben shouted. The humans spread out, moving from one piece of debris to another. What would have taken machines and time took them only minutes. Kyle and Lisa worked together to lift a massive panel that had 3 aliens trapped beneath it. The panel had to weigh at least 400 kilograms. They raised it high enough for station personnel to pull the victims free. Jake moved to the largest piece of wreckage. A support beam had fallen at an angle, creating a pocket where several aliens were trapped. The beam was massive, probably 600 kilograms or more. "Too heavy for one person. I need help here," Jake called. Ben and Emma joined him. The three of them positioned themselves around the beam. On three, Ben said. 1, 2, 3. They lifted together. The beam rose slowly, metal groaning under the strain. Jake's muscles burned, but he kept lifting. Higher, higher. Station personnel rushed in and pulled out 5 aliens who had been trapped in the pocket. Clear, someone shouted. The humans lowered the beam carefully and stepped back. Jake was breathing hard, sweat running down his face. Around him, the other humans were in similar condition. But they had done it. The corridor was silent. Every alien was staring at them. The trapped victims were being tended to by medical personnel who had arrived. No one was saying anything. Then Ambassador Vrel appeared, moving through the crowd. He walked straight to Jake and looked up at him. For a long moment, the Zentari said nothing. You saved my daughter, Vrel said quietly. She was trapped under that large beam. Jake looked at the group of rescued aliens. One of them was a young Zentari female being treated by doctors. I didn't know. We just helped whoever we could. Without hesitation, Vrel said. Without asking for authorization or reward. You simply acted. He turned to address the crowd. Let all who are present witness this. When disaster struck, the humans did not use their strength to dominate or control. They used it to save lives. This is what power should look like. The crowd began to make sounds of approval. Tentacles waved, mandibles clicked, and various voices called out thanks. The fear that had been present for the past 2 weeks seemed to evaporate like morning dew. Over the next few days, the story spread throughout the station, and then throughout the coalition. Humans had saved 37 lives by doing what no other species could do. The video footage from security cameras was shared widely. Images of humans lifting massive debris became symbols of hope rather than fear. The council reconvened for a special session. Jake and the others who had helped with the rescue were invited to attend. When they entered the chamber, the counselors stood in respect. The coalition owes you a debt, Elder Quill said. Your actions have demonstrated what we hope to see, that human strength is a gift to the galaxy, not a threat. We just did what anyone would do, Jake said. We helped people who needed help. Not anyone could have done what you did, a Krell counselor said. That is the point. You possess capabilities we lack. You could have used those capabilities to demand concessions or special treatment. Instead, you used them to save lives without expecting anything in return. The Council has made a decision, Elder Quill announced. We are creating new programs specifically designed to utilize human physical capabilities for the benefit of all Coalition members. Emergency response teams, heavy construction crews, high-gravity world exploration. These programs will be open to any human who wishes to serve. Additionally, Vrel added, we are establishing educational exchanges. Humans will teach us about life on high-gravity worlds and managing strength. We will teach humans about the diversity of life in the galaxy and our various cultures. Together, we will build understanding. Jake felt a weight lift from his shoulders. This was what they had hoped for from the beginning. Not just acceptance, but integration. Not just tolerance, but partnership. The meeting ended with announcements of the first programs. Human emergency responders would be stationed on major coalition facilities. Human engineers would assist with construction projects that had been considered impossible. Human explorers would survey worlds that had been too dangerous for other species. Jake returned to his teaching duties, but everything was different now. His classroom was still full, but the fear was gone. Now aliens came to learn, not to gawk. They asked questions about Earth, about human culture, about what it was like to live with such strength. Do you ever wish you were weaker? A young Tigran student asked during one lecture. Jake thought about it. Sometimes I wish I didn't have to be so careful all the time. But mostly I'm just glad I can help when help is needed. Strength is only dangerous if you don't control it. The key is knowing when to be strong and when to be gentle. Lisa taught similar lessons. Emma gave demonstrations on proper lifting techniques and safety. Commander Richards advised on emergency response protocols. Slowly, humans became integrated into coalition life not as oddities or threats, but as valued members with unique contributions. 6 months after the incident, Jake stood in the same teaching hall where everything had started. The room was full of students from a dozen different species. On the table in front of him sat the same weights that had caused such panic before. Today we're going to talk about force and mass, Jake said with a smile. And yes, I'm going to pick up this weight. Anyone who's uncomfortable with that can leave now. No one left. In fact, several students leaned forward to watch more closely. Jake lifted the 150-kilogram weight with one hand. Force equals mass times acceleration, he said, just as he had said 6 months ago. But now, instead of panic, he saw interest. Instead of fear, he saw curiosity. After class, a Zentari student approached him. "Professor Morrison, I have a question. Do you think other humans could teach me their methods? I want to work in emergency response, but I am not strong enough for the heavy equipment." "That's what human partners are for," Jake said. "You bring your knowledge and skills. Humans bring the strength. Together you can do things neither could do alone." "That is a good philosophy," the student said. "Strength in unity." "Unity and diversity," Jake replied, echoing the coalition's motto. That evening, Jake and Lisa stood at the